Tell people I made this video before. Then when I went to go start it up, I realized that it wasn't recording, so I didn't start it yet, so the engine's still ice cold. But this is my 2002 Yamaha Blaster. Since the last few videos, I've put the headlight back on, fixed the ground for it, so now the headlight works. And I've put 2.5-inch wheel space on the back and put an FMF Gold Series header on it. Since I've owned it, I'll tell you guys what I did to it as a walk around. Stripped it down to the yellow frame, black A-arms, black swing arm. Cleaned and polished up the front shocks. You can see they look pretty nice. I put a 400EX rear shock in it with Ken O'Connor Racing bushings. I put new front shoes in it, new rear pads in it, and I opened up where the hole is for the rear pad. That way the brakes actually slide back and forth okay. So now the back brakes work like hydro brakes. I made a rear caliper video. I would watch it if I was you guys having problems with your cable brakes. I flipped the front wheels, 2.5-inch wheel spacers. I said MSR bars, Boyesen power reeds. It's got a IT or YZ 250 flange on it for the header because the original one did not come with it. So the IT or YZ 250, the header fit right through the flange. So I did that. Then I put a piece of metal wire for now till I get my spring. And then I did my yellow frame, just a lot of dirt on it right now. Been riding. Put new front wheel bearings in it. It's got new piston and rings, Viesco. It's got an OEM crankshaft that was still in good shape, so I just left it. It's got new crank bearings in it. It's got a 310 main in the carb, ported reed cage, a little bit of a ported intake boot. I think I said full FMF. It's got a lot of work done to it. It's also got a new petcock on it. It's got 18 by 11s by 8 rear tires, and it's got a redesigned head. So the head's smaller, so it's got a lot more compression. And with those tires and that head combination, even with the stock exhaust, every time I was shifting gears, it was popping right up. So that head and those rear tires, these are the smallest rear tires you can get, I believe, for a Blaster. So the smaller tires, more torque you get, but then the RPMs get up there a lot faster. So to start this thing off, I usually start off in first, but most of the time I usually do it in second because first gear, you can't go from the Blaster to my Raptor before you have to shift to second. So I usually just start out in second. It never gives me a problem. And then I repacked the FMF, scratched it up with my wheelies a little bit, and put new axle bearings in the back. You can see the 400EX shock on there. I'm waiting on a new air filter. For right now, I'm going to leave it. I put the 310 main in it because I was going to take off the airbox lid, which I still got to do. So I'm going to be taking off that airbox lid. Rear suspension's nice. Yeah, it's got a lot of torque. I'll do a cold start for you. Feeling the head. It's like 15, more like 21 degrees outside. It's really cold. The first time I did this engine, I did it good. The cylinder measured out to 66.06, I believe. So I figured it was good. So I honed it, put the standard size piston in it, and then I was good. But since it had some deep grooves in it, I honed it out for a little while to get the grooves out. Since I honed it out for so long, it actually bored it to a 66.30, which is good enough for a 10 over piston. So when I started it up the first time, it sounded fine with no silencer on it. Then I started driving it up and down. It had lack of top end power, and it had a really big knock to it. So I pulled off the top end. I was able to dance with the piston. So I kept the piston, had another cylinder. I honed that cylinder, cleaned up the exhaust port, and threw it on. Then I put the redesigned head on while I was there. I was running the stock head. Then I swapped out the head, and then the knock went away. So you can see the FMF right here. Pretty solid. I just gotta probably custom make like a little mount for the lower part, but it's pretty solid in general. So you can see it's cold all the way at the header, nice and cold. Pull out the choke. The choke is really tight. I put a tight choke on it. That way it won't go back when I try to kick it. Put it on reserve because there's not a lot of gas in it. Leave the headlight off. Turn on the key. I relocated the key. When you do this, don't screw up like I did. Don't do it in front of the bolt. Do it lined up pretty much with the bolt, or else you're going to have to re-drill it because it interfered with the gas tank. I didn't feel like grinding down my gas tank. So yeah, let's see how many kicks this thing takes to start. Sounds really nice with that FMF. Still cold. Want to let the piston and the cylinder warm up to expand a little bit because the clearances are pretty tight on it. But yeah, I'll show you guys the headlight. high beams, low beams. There's a crack in it, but I don't really care. I'm gonna put new grips on it. Still gotta play around with the clutch, it's touchy. But yeah, there's my blaster. Talk to you guys later.